I have one final request for you. Please, take care of her.
I will. I promise you.
No, I don't.
Your wife never knew it was my son. That was the first thing Evelyn Hart said to Ben Carter, and for a second, he honestly thought he had heard her wrong. The woman had one of the most recognizable faces in the city. Even dying, even half buried under white sheets and tubes and the pale blue wash of hospital light, she still looked like power. The founder of Hart Biotech, the woman on magazine covers, the woman who built towers with her name on them and wings of hospitals people praised on television. And at 11:40 on a rainy Thursday night, she had asked for him. Not the board, not her son, not her daughter, not a priest. Him. Ben still had his janitor's keys clipped to his belt when he stepped into her private suite on the top floor of St. Catherine's. His work boots left small wet marks on the polished floor. He remembered that, weirdly. That and the smell of antiseptic mixed with lilies that were already starting to rot in expensive vases. He stood there, confused and tired, his hands still rough from hauling trash bags and fixing a leaking pipe 3 floors down. Then she looked at him with those tired, blisteringly clear eyes and said it again, slower this time. Your wife never knew it was my son who hit her. Something inside Ben didn't just crack. It went silent. Not angry at first, not loud, just empty. Like the whole world had been yanked backward and dropped from a height. He stared at her. The old woman's chest rose in shallow, uneven breaths. A monitor beeped beside her like it had somewhere else to be. Rain tapped against the dark glass wall behind the bed. The city glowed below them. All that money and glass and traffic and people racing home to families they thought would still be there in the morning. Ben took one step forward. What did you say? His voice didn't sound like his own. It sounded low, crushed. Evelyn closed her eyes for a moment, gathering strength like each word cost her blood. My son, she whispered. Daniel. Ben's fingers curled so hard his nails bit into his palms. 6 years earlier, his wife Anna had been walking home from her late shift at the diner. She had stopped to buy medicine because their daughter Lucy had a fever. She never made it across the intersection 2 blocks from their apartment. Hit and run, the police said. A dark sedan, no plates, no witnesses willing to testify. The case went cold in 11 months. He remembered every part of that night. The phone call, the hospital hallway, Lucy asleep in the neighbor's arms, while Ben identified Anna by the tiny scar on her chin from when she fell off a bike at 19. He remembered standing over his wife's body, thinking, absurdly, that she still had one earring in and he needed to find the other one. He remembered the weeks after, when grief was not poetic and not cinematic and not noble. It was overdue bills. It was a 3-year-old asking when mommy was coming back. It was cereal for dinner because he forgot how to shop for food. It was washing one tiny pink sock with his own work shirts and having to sit on the bathroom floor because that sock broke him. He had spent years hating a faceless stranger, and now that stranger had a name. Daniel Hart, Evelyn's son. The heir to everything. Ben laughed, but it came out ugly. No, he said. No, you don't get to say that like this. Not like it's weather. Not like it's some sad little secret you kept in a drawer. A nurse near the door shifted nervously, but Evelyn lifted one hand and the woman stepped back. Even dying, Evelyn Hart could clear a room with her fingers. Ben moved closer until he was standing beside the bed, breathing hard. "You knew?" Tears gathered in the corners of her eyes, but they didn't make her look fragile. Just human. Finally. "Yes." "For how long?" Her answer came so quietly he almost missed it. "Since the night it happened." Ben turned away from her and pressed a hand over his mouth. For one wild, flashing second, he saw himself doing something stupid. Pulling the tubes out, smashing the machines, dragging her son into the middle of the street and making him kneel where Anna had died. Instead, he just stood there, shaking. "Why?" he asked. "Why tell me now?" Evelyn swallowed. "Because I'm out of time." Ben looked back at her with a bitterness so sharp it almost made him smile. "That's convenient." She accepted that, didn't flinch, didn't defend herself. "He was drunk," she said. "He called me before he called an ambulance. He was terrified. He said he didn't mean to. He said she came out of nowhere. He said—" Her voice broke. "He said he could still see her hand on the hood." Ben shut his eyes. Anna's hand. God. "I used the company lawyers," Evelyn said. "Our people cleaned the car. The police were persuaded. I told myself I was protecting my family. I told myself one dead woman should not destroy many lives." The room went very still. "One dead woman," Ben repeated. It was almost a whisper, but it hit harder than a scream. Evelyn's lips trembled. "I know what I did." "No," Ben said. "You don't. You know what you hid. That's different." He stepped back from the bed because he could feel his whole body wanting to come apart. "My daughter learned how to stop asking for her mother by staring at doors that never opened. You ever hear a little kid try not to cry because they think it'll upset you more? You ever watch a child become careful before she's even old enough to spell the word grief?" Evelyn was crying now. Silent tears. Ben hated that he noticed. "She used to save half her cookie," he said, voice rough. "Every Saturday, because she thought maybe Anna would come home late and want it." He laughed again, this time because if he didn't, he might choke. "And your son got what? Rehab? A new car? A promotion?" "No," Evelyn whispered. "He got worse." Ben stared at her. That surprised him. She took a long breath. "You think I saved him? I ruined him. Daniel has spent 6 years becoming the kind of man who can live beside a lie if it is upholstered well enough. My daughter hates him and doesn't know why. His own daughter barely looks at him. My family sits at the same table like strangers in tailored clothes. Nothing in my house is warm anymore." Ben said nothing. Rain slid down the black glass behind her like the city itself was melting. "Tomorrow," Evelyn said, "they'll all be here. Daniel, Caroline, my granddaughter Sophie, lawyers, executives. They think I'm going to discuss succession, my final instructions, the company." She looked at Ben with a desperation that stripped 30 years off her face. "I have one request." Ben almost laughed in her face. After all this, she had a request. "Come tomorrow," she said. "Stand in that room. And when I ask you who this family really is, tell them the truth." Ben stared at her, stunned by the audacity of it.
You want me to clean up your conscience? No. Her answer came fast, almost fierce. I want someone in that room who has no reason to protect us. Ben shook his head. Why not tell them yourself? Because if I do, they will hear a mother condemning her son. She coughed, wincing with pain. If you do, they will hear what silence costs. Ben looked at the tubes, the monitors, the bruised skin under the tape on her hands. All the power in the world, and it still ended like this. Small, weak, begging. He should have walked out. He should have told her to die with it. Instead, he asked the question that had been clawing at him from the instant he heard Daniel's name. Does he know you're telling me? Evelyn gave the smallest nod. He knows I asked you to come. Ben's jaw tightened. And he said if I did this, it would kill the family. For the first time that night, something cold and steady replaced the chaos in Ben's chest. He thought about Lucy at home asleep with one sock off, one arm flung across her pillow. He thought about the school play Anna never saw, the birthdays, the fevers, the first day of 4th grade when Lucy had smiled for a picture and then asked if other mothers ever missed the first day by accident. He thought about a family already killed. His own.
Then he looked Evelyn Hart in the eye. I'll come, he said. She closed her eyes in relief, but he wasn't finished. I'll tell them, he said, but not for you. Her eyes opened again. I'll tell them because my daughter deserves to live in a world where rich people don't get to bury ordinary women and call it strategy. He leaned in slightly, voice shaking with fury that had finally found its shape. And I won't tell them what your son did. I'll tell them what you did. Because he was drunk and weak, but you were sober. You were powerful. You chose this. Something about that answer hit her harder than anything else had. Ben could see it, the truth of it, the part she had never fully said out loud. She nodded once. Yes, she whispered. Then very softly, like a woman who had spent a lifetime commanding rooms and finally understood she had no right to command this one, Evelyn Hart said, Thank you. Ben almost told her not to thank him. Almost. Instead, he turned and walked out into the corridor before the weight of 6 stolen years folded him in half. He didn't sleep. He sat at his kitchen table with the light off while the refrigerator hummed and the rain softened toward morning. Lucy padded out just after 2, hair messy, clutching the stuffed rabbit Anna had won for her at a county fair. Dad? Ben wiped his face quickly. Hey, Bean. Bad dream? Lucy climbed into his lap without asking, like she still did when the world felt wrong. You're awake, she murmured. Yeah. She studied him in the dim blue light from the microwave clock. 10 years old now. Old enough to notice things. Old enough to carry them. Is it money? She asked. Ben let out a broken little laugh. No. Is it me? That one hurt. He pulled her closer. Never you. Lucy played with the frayed ear of the rabbit. Then it's Mom. Ben didn't answer right away. Kids know. They know when a silence has a name. She'd know what to do, Lucy whispered.
he held her tighter. And somewhere between the ache of hearing Anna's name and the warmth of his daughter asleep against his chest, Ben realized the truth wasn't just a weapon. It was an inheritance, too. And if he walked away now, Lucy would inherit the same lesson Daniel Hart had inherited from his mother. That power matters more than pain, and some lives are easier to erase than others. By morning, he knew he was going.
At noon, the Hart family had gathered. The private suite had been rearranged to look less like a hospital room and more like wealth trying to pretend it wasn't afraid. Fresh flowers, designer coats draped on chairs, soft-spoken attorneys, a silver coffee service no one touched. Daniel Hart stood near the window in a navy suit that probably cost more than Ben's rent for 6 months. He was handsome in a careful, bloodless way, the kind of man who looked assembled, not raised. His face barely moved when Ben walked in, but the color drained from it anyway. Caroline Hart, younger, elegant, sharp-eyed, turned immediately. "Who is this?" No one answered. Sophie, Daniel's 13-year-old daughter, sat in a chair by Evelyn's bed with a book open on her lap, though she clearly wasn't reading. She looked from Ben to her grandmother and back again, with the alert stillness of a child who has grown up in rooms full of secrets. Evelyn was weaker than the night before. Her skin had gone almost translucent. But when Ben stepped inside, she found him with her eyes. "Stay," she said. One word, barely audible. Still, the room obeyed. Daniel moved first. "Mother, I think this is inappropriate." Evelyn didn't look at him. "That," she said faintly, "has never stopped this family before." Caroline frowned. "Can someone please explain what's happening?" Ben stayed near the door at first. He hadn't worn a suit. He didn't own one that still fit properly. He wore a clean, dark shirt, his best jacket, and the wedding ring he still kept on a chain under his clothes because removing it had always felt too much like agreeing. The lawyer cleared his throat, uncomfortable. "Mrs. Hart wished to address a personal matter before discussing the estate." Daniel's jaw tightened. "Personal?" Evelyn's breathing grew shallow. "Mr. Carter," she said. Ben looked at her. She looked back with eyes that knew there was no reversing this now. "Who is this family?" The room changed. Not visibly, not at first. No one shouted, no glass shattered. But the air went tight, like all the oxygen had been replaced by something flammable. Daniel took one step forward. "Mother." Ben's heart slammed once against his ribs. Hard. This was the moment. He could still walk away. Leave them to their polished lies and inherited rot. Go home. Hold Lucy. Say nothing. That would be easier. Safer. Crueler, somehow. So Ben looked not at Evelyn, not first, but at Daniel. At the man who had been allowed to continue. Then he spoke. "6 years ago," he said, "my wife Anna was killed in a hit-and-run 2 blocks from our apartment." Caroline's face shifted with the polite horror of someone hearing a tragedy at a distance. "I'm sorry," she said automatically. Ben looked at her. "Don't be. Not yet." Daniel closed his eyes, and Sophie, quietly, slowly, lowered her book. Ben continued. His voice steadied the longer he used it. "Our daughter was 3. Anna had stopped to buy fever medicine. That's why she was out late. We never found the driver. At least, that's what the police told us." Caroline looked at her brother. then at her mother, then back again. "No," she said softly. "No." Daniel finally spoke. "Mother, enough." But Evelyn was looking at Ben, and Ben was looking at the family that had eaten dinner and gone skiing and held board meetings and laughed under chandeliers while Lucy waited by windows. The driver, Ben said, was Daniel Hart. Caroline actually staggered back. Sophie went perfectly still. The lawyer whispered, "My God." Daniel's face hardened, not with innocence, but with the reflex of a man who had spent years surviving by controlling the frame. "It was an accident," he said. There it was. Not "I'm sorry," not "I killed her," not "I ran." An accident. Ben felt something almost calm settle over him. "You left her there." Daniel swallowed. "I panicked." "You left her there," Ben repeated. "And your mother buried it." Caroline turned to Evelyn now, horrified. "Tell me he's lying." Evelyn closed her eyes. That was answer enough. Caroline made a sound Ben would remember for a long time. Not a scream, something smaller and worse. A daughter realizing love had been used as camouflage. "How could you?" she whispered. Daniel snapped, suddenly furious. "Do not do this like you're better than me. You enjoyed everything this family protected." Caroline wheeled on him. "I didn't ask you to kill someone." Sophie stood. Everyone turned. She was trembling, but her voice came out clearer than any of theirs. "Is it true?" Daniel looked at his daughter and, for the first time, seemed unable to arrange his face. "Sophie, is it true?" The room waited. Daniel's shoulders sank. "Yes," he said. That word landed heavier than any denial ever could. Sophie stared at him like she had never seen him before. Ben should have felt triumph, vindication, some glorious release. What he felt instead was tired. Deeply, bone-deep tired. Because nothing brought Anna back. Nothing rewound Lucy's childhood. Truth wasn't resurrection. It was just the first honest wound after years of infection. Evelyn's voice came weak from the bed. "Ben." He turned. She was fighting for breath now, each inhale a climb. "I was wrong," she said. Nobody in that room had probably ever heard Evelyn Hart say those words. Maybe not once in 40 years. "I told myself that I was saving my son. But I made him smaller every year." Daniel looked at her, shattered in a way that anger couldn't hide anymore. "Why now?" he asked. It came out like a child's question, raw, lost. Why now, after all this time? Evelyn's eyes found him at last. "Because I am dying," she said, "and you are still alive. There is still time for you to become someone your daughter can bear to remember." Sophie started crying then. Quiet tears, furious tears. The kind kids cry when the adults around them have failed in a way that changes the shape of the world. Daniel reached for her, but she stepped back. "No," she said. "Just that. No." Ben knew that word, knew what it cost a child to use it against a parent. Then Evelyn looked at Ben one more time. "Lucy, how old is she now?" 10. A faint smile touched Evelyn's mouth. Sad. Almost grateful for a detail from a life outside her own empire. She deserved better from us. Ben nodded once, because he didn't trust himself to speak. Evelyn's chest rose, fell, rose again, smaller. Then not enough. The monitor changed its sound, and the most powerful woman in the room became, in an instant, a body everyone had unfinished business with.